October 1990. Jerome Sachani and Vasu Gandhan are spending nights mediating the violent transport conflict that has engulfed the infamous Cape Flats, amidst allegations of apartheid security force destabilization. The South African political transition is in full swing, and Accord comes into being to help deal with violent struggle on the ground.
The major thrust of the organization at its formation was to work very closely with the National Peace Accord, which was intended to harmonize political engagement in the country.
This is a fantastic laboratory for development of a new methodology, a culture of conflict management born in the crucible of South Africa's transition as the world watches and holds its breath.
It was the end of the Cold War. We had moved from conflicts between nations to conflicts within nations. This was a totally new environment, and nobody had any answers. This was the environment in which Accord was born, and we had to innovate and create new solutions together with the rest of the world community.
By 1994, Accord has developed a new comprehensive peace model and expanded their reach to work with the United Nations and Organization for African Unity.
We took our ideas to the UN and OAU and contributed to shaping their conflict intervention strategies.
Burundi, 1995, is a country wrecked by protracted war. Accord is offered the opportunity to test their approach on a much broader stage.
At that stage, President Nyerere was the facilitator, and we were brought on to assist with the strategy for mediation. When he passed on and President Mandela took over, we were brought on to bring in the civil society and the extremist groups into the peace process. And later, when President Zuma was the facilitator, we assisted in preparing all the rebel groups for the negotiation process. And I think this helped greatly in assisting the process to move from conflict to peace.
The lessons increased in intensity. From 1999, Accord support negotiations for the future of the DRC under mediator President Masire, and then on to Somalia with United Nations Special Representative of the Secretary General, Ould Abdallah, and South Sudan to support the implementation of the Comprehensive Peace Agreement.
Innovating on the firing line, acting, reflecting, and putting back into our experiences, that has given us invaluable insights.
So even outside of Africa, they became really curious about what we were about, right? We went to the Middle East, we talked to the stakeholders of Fatah and Hamas, even Nicaragua, Sri Lanka, became really excited about the entire South African experience and how Accord helps mitigating and transforming the conflict.
2 years after the founding of the United Nations Department for Peacekeeping Operations, Accord's peacekeeping program comes into being in 1994.
What started as a project focused on Southern Africa expanded across the whole continent. Over the last 15 years, we conducted peacekeeping training in almost all the United Nations and African Union peacekeeping missions. But what I think stands out is our contribution to developing the civilian dimension of the African Standby Force.
But questions remain about how to handle peace processes on a broader level.
So how do we improve peace building and peacemaking in the continent?
Well, the theoretical debates had been great in terms of what peace building really is, but the lessons from DRC, from South Sudan, and from Burundi had been great in terms of understanding the realities.
And I think effectively we are creating a space for developing the African post-conflict reconstruction frameworks.
And that's what I like about what the African Union has set up in terms of the African Union Peace and Security Architecture, which serves as a catalyst that we should learn from and take forward in implementation.
The Accord involvement in the transition in Burundi, especially dealing with land-related disputes in the provinces, is being used as a model by our operations now in Southern Sudan.
20 years, 20,000 people trained across the continent, from presidents down to local-level activists, makes Accord one of the biggest conflict management training institutes globally, and means there are skilled alumni in key positions across the continent. But is this enough?
What we need is constant research engagement, looking for new approaches and new ideas in order to contribute to policy development, which also then goes into our capacity building and training initiatives.
Look around you. There are no women at the peace negotiation tables. Women are extremely underrepresented. At best, you find them in the corridors petitioning peacemakers and negotiators. But we want them not in corridors, but at the negotiation tables.
Accord has been trying to bring the voice, participation and influence of women to peace negotiations since 1995. We recognize as an institution that UN Resolution 1325 is a breakthrough and a victory for women in peace processes. But at the same time, we are conscious it's not enough. And therefore, we will continue to put a chord at the agendas and struggles to ensure the full implementation of UN Resolution 1325 for women in peace and security.
2012 is the 8th edition of Accord's Africa Peace Award. From humble beginnings, recognizing local peace efforts in Durban's own Little Beirut, the award was taken continental in 1995 to draw attention to peace on a broader scale, and Nelson Mandela was the inaugural recipient.
The protection of human rights, the good governance of public affairs, and the peaceful resolution of disputes are critical now as they've been 20 years ago.
Over the last 20 years, we are proud to have made a significant contribution in transforming the lives of our people who are affected by conflict. 20 years from now, Accord will dedicate itself not only to manage and resolve conflict, but more importantly, to prevent it and to transform it into lasting peace.
It has been a pleasure to see the organization grow in terms of its operational capabilities in conflict resolution, and also to see the improvements in financial management and financial reporting. As chairman of the EXCO, I'm particularly pleased with the fact that we've had unqualified reports for the last 10 years and even longer. This is highly appreciated by our donors and other stakeholders.
The complexity of global challenges now dwarfs the challenges of 20 years ago. There is an absence of consensus on how to deal with these many challenges, but Accord is conscious of the urgent need to move beyond the mitigation of conflict to true transformation.
Local and national conflicts are undeniably linked to global dynamics. We live in a world of paradoxes. For example, we live in a world where there is unprecedented prosperity, whilst at the same time we see growing inequality. This is unsustainable. We need to come together and build a world that is sustainable. We need to say, how do we bring influential leaders? How do we bring masses of people, particularly young people who are so empowered today with social media, and bring them together in a forum, have a conversation about building a new social contract that will result in a new world, a sustainable world, one in which there is equality for all.